Hi everyone, this is Ms. S from Excelsior Charter School, and today we're going to be covering Geometry Lesson 6-2 on the properties of parallelograms. This is the vocab or important information we're going to be covering in today's lesson, and you guys should include in your notes. Our first is Theorem 6-1, which says that opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent. So we already knew that opposite sides of a parallelogram were parallel, but now we're learning that they are also congruent. So the left and the right are the same, and the top and the bottom are also the same. And that is Theorem 6-1. And next we move to cover the difference between consecutive angles and opposite angles. Opposite angles are usually easier for everybody to see. They're the ones that are opposite from each other. So B and D would be opposite angles, and C and A would be opposite angles. So opposite angles are here in green. Consecutive angles are right next to each other. So B and A are consecutive angles. We'll make this a squiggly line. And so B and A are consecutive angles. Anything that goes in order. So B and A are consecutive, also B and C are consecutive, A and D are consecutive, and D and C are also consecutive angles. So the ones that are right next to each other are consecutive. Our next theorem says that opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent. So we know that opposites are parallel. We also know that they are congruent. And now we've learned that opposite angles are also congruent. So this one down here kind of shows this here. So angle 70, as you see, is congruent with the one opposite, angle 70. And then 110 is congruent here with 110. So while opposite angles are congruent, something else to notice is that consecutive angles are supplementary, meaning they add up to 180 degrees. So if you notice here, both of the ones on the left-hand side, 70 degrees and 120 degrees add up to 180, and because those are consecutive. If you notice the two across the top here, I'll do it in blue, 70 degrees and 110 degrees also add up to 180 degrees. On the left-hand side, the 110 degrees and the 70 degrees add up to 180 degrees. And along the bottom as well, the 70 degrees and the 110 degrees add up to 180. So consecutive angles are supplementary, opposite angles are congruent. Another property of parallelograms is that the diagonals of a parallelogram always bisect each other. So a diagonal doesn't go around the outside. Instead, it goes through the middle, and it kind of makes a diagonal line across this way. And in a parallelogram, the diagonals cut each other into two equal pieces. Our last theorem for today says that if three or more parallel lines cut off congruent segments on one transversal, then they cut off congruent segments on every transversal. So if you notice here, these lines are parallel. That's what these little arrows are for. And this segment here is congruent to this segment there, which means that this segment is congruent to this segment, and so on and so forth. All right, this is one of the questions from your assignment, and it says, to find the value of y in quadrilateral EFGH. Then it wants you to find the measure of angle EF, G, and H. So they've given us opposite angles here. And in a parallelogram, we know that opposite angles are congruent. So we can set 6y plus 4 equal to 3y plus 37. And then we can use our algebra to solve for y. And what we get is that y equals 11. And then we can take this y equals 11 and we can substitute the value back in up here for either of our y's to solve for angle F and angle G. So I've done that here in yellow. 6 times 11 plus 4 is 70. So angle F is 70 and angle G is also 70. We already know that y equals 11. And so to find angle F, which we found E and G, so to find angle F and angle H, we need to remember that those are consecutive with angle 70. So you do 70 plus the angle you don't know, would need to equal 180 degrees. And you solve this, what you get is that each of those angles is 110 degrees. So these ones are each 110. And then our last one for today also comes from the lesson, and it says in the figure, DH is parallel to CG, which is parallel to BF, which is parallel to AE. So we can put these parallel arrows on here if we want to remind us that these are parallel. AB, BC, and CD all equal 2. So this one and this one and this one are all the same, which means this one and this one and this one are also all the same. So they want us to find EF is 2.5. They want us to find from E to H. So from here all the way across to here. So if EF is 2.5, then FG is also 2.5, and GH is also 2.5. So it's 2.5 times 3, which of course equals 7.5. And that is the answer to that one. Good luck, everybody. I hope you guys do great.